In this video, we're going to have a look at a variety of different approaches to summarizing, specifically looking at summarizing chains. Now we'll do our regular form of import, so chat OpenAI, LLM chains. There's some new ones here. So for example, we can use a document loader to specifically load a URL or a list of URLs. You're also going to need to import something called a load summarize chain. And so when we run this, you'll see what happens is basically we load in some documents and these get assigned to LangChain documents. We then load up a chat OpenAI model and then we use a load summarize chain called a stuff chain, which basically means that we stuff all of the documents into a single LLM call. That's a really important point. So again, stuffing is putting all of your LangChain documents into a single call, which does mean that if you have more documents than you can fit into a model, it will return an error. And you can see after we've done that, we've got a nice little summary explaining that this article is about building autonomous agents which are powered by these large language models. We have then done a different approach, which is using something called the MapReduce pattern. So you import a couple of different variables and things like the reduce documents, a MapReduce documents chain, and a stuff documents chain. You first have to set up your map, which is basically mapping over a set of documents and basically on that identifying the main themes. And then you create a map chain, whilst the reduce takes all of the summaries that are created inside of your map. And what it will do is it will then reduce those summaries down into a single summary. So MapReduce runs really, really quickly. It's one of the faster ways of doing summaries. The problem with the MapReduce chain is pages don't remember each other. So it can cause an issue where if page 3 kind of needs to know about page 5, then the summaries are all done independently. So you can get some different forms of summarization which will handle for that. Moving back up, we use this LLM chain and we run something called a stuff documents chain, which takes in the reduce chain. And basically what it does is it combines these documents into a single string, right? So it takes a list of documents and combines them into a single string. And then what we do is we build something called a reduce documents chain, which combines and iteratively reduces the mapped documents. So the reduce chain here is this one, which is your stuff documents chain. And then we have a collapse documents chain, which is set to equal to the combined documents chain. So we're just using the same chain here. And this reduce documents chain, what this basically does is it's going to reduce your documents down using MapReduce, right? And the map prompt comes from up here. Right, so this is where the map chain is used. And then we have this MapReduce documents chain, which is the final bit. So this is designing the reduce chain, right, which uses this reduce template. And then after that, then we've got the reduce chain set up. We then make the MapReduce chain. So the LLM chain that we're going to use for our map chain is this one here. The reduce chain is this one, which reduces the documents. And this is the variable name in the LLM chain, which we call here in the map, which is called docs. And we do also return immediate steps. And so when we run that, it gives us a summary using MapReduce, right? So you can see here, we've got a couple of different summaries that have been therefore reduced. So there you go. So that's MapReduce. The final summary type that we have is something called a refine template, which is basically like where you say, write a concise summary of the following, and you ask it to have a summary. And then we have something called a refine template. And this refine template is to basically take the existing summary that get generated from these, provide it new text and say, given the new context, could you do something to that? So could you refine the original summary? So we could do this, refine the original summary. If the content isn't useful, return the original summary. And then when we do our load summarization chain, what we're doing is we're passing in the question prompt, which comes from this prompt template here. And then we also have our refine prompt, which comes from here. And then we put our input key, which is our input documents, and our output key, which is our output text. And then we'll end up with a result. And what's good about the refined way is if you want to essentially read the document, one page, then the second page, and then page 3 and page 4. That's what the refine summarization technique is doing. It's essentially saying, let's start with page 1, we'll make a summary, we'll go on to page 2, refine, and then we'll go on to page 3 and then we'll refine. So the danger of using refine is that it's going to take you a lot longer than something like MapReduce, because MapReduce runs each individual summarization independently, whilst refine has to be a sequential series of steps, right? And those steps will lead to a greater summary. But the benefit of refine is that obviously it can improve the summary over time. So here's 3 different summarization techniques that you can use inside LangChain to get better results.